Was poppin', was poppin', was poppin'. Welcome, Nicky and Moose. I'm Nicky. That's Moose. What's up, Moose?
What up, y'all?
And welcome to the live show. First and foremost, I got my buddy back. He's back. Praise God. Hello, everybody. Show some emojis if you're watching this live. If you're watching this replay, show some emojis. Moose is back, okay? But let's get into business. First and foremost, of course, new episode 145 dropped today. Yes, we talked about Threads, okay? We talked about our thoughts on Threads first. We talked about this boxing situation. We talked about filling in the gaps for our brand, like Mark versus Elon kind of vibes. We talked about leveraging content. We talked about a trend that, is it really bad or good? You just got to listen to the episode. It's really fire. So episode 145 has dropped. If you can, like and share this video, okay? Like and share this video. And if you support the Nicky and Moose channel, if you're on YouTube, hit that super thanks or super chat. And if you're on Facebook, definitely hit those stars. But, Moose, how are we feeling? How's everything? What's the vibes?
Man, vibes is good, man. I'm happy to be back. I had a wonderful trip. I'm telling everyone, it was full of everything. It was great. It was a little bit of terrible. It was good. It was a little bit of bad. It was a little bit of crazy. So it made it a very full and complete trip. So I'm excited. I'm glad to be back. I'm definitely happy to be back. It's been nonstop in meetings today. So we've been rocking out. Like, I guess yesterday I intended it to be the first official day back, and it was, but it definitely wasn't as busy as it was today. Today was just like, all right, come on. So yeah, man. But no, I feel good, man. I'm really excited, and looking forward to adding some more value to the live and the podcast and everything we got going on. And shout out to you for keeping the people valued out over the last couple of weeks. I seen us hit 100 in my absence. I almost retired from the live show. I was like, I've been promoting 100 for about 6 months now, and so we want to hit it on the first time I'm not there. That might say something about my performance here.
Lord.
So
here we go.
yeah, so it was good to see though. It was good to see, that's for sure.
That's dope. We got him back, people, and we got a really dope conversation. This is going to be for all my overthinkers, my perfectionists, all those vibes. We're gonna talk about it today. So Moose, let's get to it.
Yeah, I mean, this really, in a way, is inspired by my latest Threads launch. You know, the platform was out now. Just a little backstory. For those of you who were following us and rocking with us during COVID, and more specifically when Clubhouse came out, I was the biggest naysayer. I'm the skeptic. I know this about myself. You know, typically Nikki is the one who's going to jump in and she's going to uncover things that no one knows about. And then she'll play with it. She'll really pull out the ones that make the most sense and say, hey, look at this really cool thing that I found. I'm like, nah, we don't need it. Like, it's not all that. And I'll fight it. That's just part of my nature. And eventually I'll get on. I say, oh, shoot, you were right. This was great. I love it. And that's what happened with Clubhouse. I got on super late. And so this time around, I was like, not happening to me again. I'm about to be an early adopter. I'm jumping on this thing like day 1.5. I'm in there. I'm making it happen. And so after I got on the platform, I loved all of the benefits that it brought, right? The great thing about Threads is that so many things. Number one, there is no follower count. So you don't have to feel bad about, wait, I need to have more followers than I do the people that I'm following. So that's not there. You also get you almost inherit a lot of your followers. So you start with way above zero, right? If you, whatever, all the hard work you put on Instagram, that transfers over to the platform, and then the two are equally integrated. So there's a lot of great benefits, and you reap the reward of that. But at the same time, I'm sitting there on the sidewalk or on the sidelines thinking to myself, all right, my first thread has to be like, yeah, it just has to be all of that in the bag of chips. And I'm like, a couple of days go by, and then today I'm just saying, just go. And I love how I started because it was so me, right? And then that was a nice little sigh of relief. But eventually I said, okay, let's dive into that a little bit more, because regardless of how much time we put in to develop ourselves to get better and overcome some of the challenges that we typically struggle with, when it comes to a new scenario, and shout out to the flight assessment, because it really does teach us that you might master something that you struggle with in a controlled environment. But when you are thrown into a new environment or a new situation and scenario, you typically go and revert back to your old habits. And so I've seen the same thing happen here. And it was just a reminder to say, this is something that you struggle with, and it requires constant work. It's not something that you say, oh yeah, I struggle with it, I'm over it. No, you got better at dealing with it, but it requires constant work. And so I just want to make it a broader conversation for those of you who are tuned in with us now. And shout out to you for posting it on Threads, because I saw that there was a great emphasis around, hey, perfectionism is holding me back specifically from getting started, right? It was like, oh, I saw multiple people say that part, that it's holding them back from finally getting their start. And so I said, you know what? Let's talk about it, because the way the title is designed, and we didn't really get to talk about this, Nix, but we're talking about the toxic side of perfectionism, which is to say there is a healthy side of perfectionism. All right, there's a side of it that actually is healthy. And so I want to get your take on it, Nix. I want to share it, but then definitely let's dive into the toxic side and help people overcome it, because it's doable and most certainly manageable with the right community and the right set of strategies. So let's open up with, I don't know, do you believe in, or do you have a healthy side of perfectionism, or do you just look at it as straight up and down toxic, like a bad relationship?
I don't think I necessarily look at toxic, but I do believe there's standards. You feel me? Like I feel I don't know. I don't believe anything can be perfect. There hasn't been anything that I've seen that has been labeled perfect, except for maybe what we deemed as that, right? So like, based off what are we saying is perfect? And that's why like I always go about, when it comes to like my niche, when we're talking about creating a brand and creating content, and people are like, I want it perfect. I'm like, okay, give me an example of what's perfect. What is exactly perfect? What's a perfect brand? Now, what's a perfect piece of content? Because you don't know what's happening in the back end that will probably make you think different of that's perfect or not. There's so many different things that go up on social media, brands that are created every single day that go viral, get a bunch of revenue. And in my, in my standards, I'm like, how? Like, how? Mm-hmm. Well, how did that happen? So after seeing that several times, I'm like, oh, there's nothing really perfect. There's nothing really that is to say you do it like this is going to be deemed perfect, and this is going to be successful. Because even when you do get it perfect, does that equal success?
Right.
That's my whole thing. So I've never looked at anything perfect, because I've never seen anything that was titled that.
Right. Right. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that. Let me take a step back real quick. I was rude. I didn't shout out nobody in the comments, and check in with y'all after the couple of weeks here. So real quick, man, let us know how you're feeling in the comments. Drop a one if you're feeling great and amazing. Drop a two. 1.5s are acceptable too, but drop a two if it's like, it's a slow start to this week, but hopefully we could turn it around. Share this with a couple of people, please. I would like to see us hit, you know what I'm saying? 88. How about that? Not maybe not 100 today, but how about 88? Can we get to 88? I want to feel like we can achieve what we achieved while I wasn't here. But share this with a few people, man, and definitely tap into this conversation. I think it's going to be great. But I do want to add a different side of perspective, or a different perspective to it all, because I do believe that there is a healthy side of perfectionism, right? And I know that might sound crazy to y'all, but it is, because the healthy side of perfectionism is the pursuit of doing something great. When you set out to do something with a great level of detail and intentionality, and you want to commit your effort, you typically bring out your best, something that probably did not exist before, or maybe not how you would normally do it. And so there is good in that. You want to channel that. You want to see, how can I continue to take out the best of what I do, or what I commit to this process when I want to make something perfect? How can I commit to that? How can I make it happen? How can I channel it? How can I keep it going more consistently? But when does it get troubling, or when does it become an issue? When it starts crippling you, when it stops you from completing the thing that you set out to do. And so, of course, I look to examples like Kobe Bryant, right? Who knew, like, I want to be as close to perfect as possible. I'm not looking to achieve perfection, but I want the pursuit of perfection, because it does something to your approach and your mentality and what you do as you aim to achieve the thing that you want to achieve. So as someone who openly, and I've always said it, overthinking and perfectionism has been a big Achilles heel for me. But I can say that after all my years going through it, there is a healthy side of it, and it's typically the beginning. It's that intense focus, that detail orientation that you'll bring to a project or a task, because it says something about what you're doing and what you want to do. So I don't know that a lot of people really focus on that side of it, because it's a common issue that everyone struggles with. But for those of you who feel that, yes, that is me, I hate that I'm a perfectionist, love that part of it. Love that it brings out those traits, because those are positive traits. And if channeled correctly, they can yield tremendous results. The issue, though, and this is the part that we'll dive into now, because this is the more common one, like we talked about. The issue, though, is when it becomes crippling, when you overexhaust it, when you put it in areas it doesn't belong, because it becomes problematic. So I did want to share that perspective, Nix, because it is a necessary ingredient too. Like, it helps you to start and bring something, or find things that most people overlook. And why does that happen? Well, because you have a level of perfection. I would dare say you have a level of, perfectionism in you as well, because of some of the things that you find and unlock and put together that most people won't really want to go through the trouble of doing that. And the crazy part is that you love it, right? Like, we've talked a lot where you say, I love what I do. Like, there's no part of it that feels like work, and that's why I don't get tired of it. To me, that's a side of perfectionism, or perfection, but it's a healthy side. It's not the crippling side.
So I just looked up what perfectionism is, right? It says refusal to accept any standard short of perfection. Okay, that really didn't explain anything to me. So let's go down this rabbit hole. Let's go down this rabbit hole. What is perfection? The condition and state and quality of being free as possible from all flaws or defects. Okay. All right. Is that possible? That's a question to you. I don't know. Is that?
Yeah. No, I'll give you the short answer. No, it's not possible. But the start of having that in mind, it's like, let's cut to the chase. Short answer: no, it's not possible. I don't think it is. But I think the beauty of it is to start with that in mind. It's like, wow, you have such great intention. You want to start with that. It just think about it. Something when you aim to do something really, really, really well. Forget perfection, because maybe there is a relationship with the word that is stopping us from seeing the point. But when you aim to do something really, really well, just think about how you plan and prepare to do that thing versus when you are going about doing something that, like, it's whatever to you. It can go great, and that's good. And if it goes terribly bad, it is what it is. It's not a big deal either. There's just a complete difference in approach. And so what I'm saying is, yes, you can use that to your advantage. I just don't want people to say and see themselves as people who are perfectionists and they see it as a completely bad thing, because it's not. It's just you letting that cripple you for too long. You believing that something can actually be free of flaw at its completion, that will stop you from doing that, because now you're forced to start over and over again. But to start wanting to do that, there's a different side of people that typically is deployed that can yield tremendous results. But what do you do when you make the first mistake, I think, is what determines the healthy side of perfectionism versus the unhealthy or the toxic side of perfectionism. Because you see the first mistake, you see the first flaw, you see the first mess up, and now what do you do at that point? Are you the type that's going to use it as part of the art and say, oh, well, what about this? Like, how can I mix this into the user experience to become more connected with my audience or my community, or make it a part of the story? Or are you someone who's just going to crumble the entire paper and throw it off like, no, this is not going to work?
So,
healthy, toxic.
yeah. I see what you're saying with that now, but I like how you put in the spin of there is healthy. I like that, because finding the positive in anything is amazing, right? And thinking about that, and then I'm gonna go to the toxic side as well. It's like it's really just how I like to say is giving that that battery on your back, that new car smell kind of vibe of like, this is what we're going to do, and this is how it has to look, and this is how it has to be, and this is how it has to feel. It's the energy, right? Is how I'm receiving the whole, the healthy side of perfectionist. Is like, what is the energy that you're giving towards the task, the brand, the content, the product, service? What is the energy that you're giving it to? Because you want to strive for perfection, which is in your eyes this certain standards. So I get that. Now the negative side, the toxic side, is that when you are too hard on yourself with time frames, too hard on yourself with resources, and you are set this standard, but you're saying, damn, this should have happened already, or it should have looked like this, or it should be this way, right? And then it stops you, because now you're focusing on the negative side, where I don't even know, and I could be wrong, but I don't even know if you put all the details in play for what perfection looked like. You just was like, it kind of got to look like this. I got to make this. I got to do it in this time frame. But you didn't put everything in place. Meaning, okay, when I start, I could go path A, path B. And path A, it looks like this to be perfect. Path B, this is what it looks like to be perfect. In path C, there's going to be some obstacles, and then I'm going to do it this way. And if I get past that, that's still perfect. You didn't put certain things in place. The second that there's an obstacle, the second that there's a situation, you're like, oh, I can't do it. It's not going to work. Or, I put it out there, no one saw it, or I feel like no one saw it, so I'm going to stop. But there still needs, like, you still need to put an account for all those things, because it could still be perfect in your eyes. It still could be perfect if you added the obstacles to it. If you added getting hit in the mouth real quick, like we all do as brands, aspiring entrepreneurs, however it is, we all get hit in the mouth with certain situations, whether the site didn't come up the way you visioned it, the logo is missing something, or it doesn't give the right colors like you wanted to, whether the piece of content, the audio is a little bit shaky and you can't hear the music right, the words aren't on it, whatever it is, you didn't put account for that part. But that doesn't mean it still can't be perfect.
Yeah, yeah. And it's good to start with the definition as you put it, because it's another one of those cases, and similar to what we said on the podcast about work-life balance, it typically is a personal definition. And the same, by the way, applies here. It's something that you have to define for yourself, because I love that quote that says, done is better than perfect when perfect isn't done, right? And it's said a lot and people just kind of skate by it quickly, but really think about that for a moment. What's better in your eyes? Having something or absolutely nothing? Meaning something that's in a work in progress or nothing that's perfect. And I love that start, because it's saying, hey, maybe your definition of perfect should be an ever-evolving work in progress. That's perfection. Why can't that definition be what perfection is versus the standard definition that typically most people adopt, and it keeps them stuck without making any level of progress, which is, if it does not check off every single box of quality assurance, detail, and absolute flawlessness, I'm not going to move forward, right? It's like, no, actually, if you want to get to that, you might want to start with an imperfect sample so that you can figure out what things you need to correct to eventually get to the point that you want. So I have to say, it becomes toxic when your definition goes from I'm going to get to perfection to I'm going to start at perfection. That right there, like that exact point in the pursuit of perfection is what makes it healthy perfection, toxic perfection.
Yeah, that's good. Where we going now? I don't know what to say after that. That was good.
Air horns 22 minutes in. We doing good. I like this. I like this. Hey, if this is connecting with y'all, man, drop a 1 in the comments. I just want to see, like, do you kind of see the difference? And like I said, I've dealt with this openly. I want to say at least for 20 years, right? And the more I dive into it, I am starting to see these different layers, because there's so many different layers to this whole thing called perfection. And while I love terminology because it helps us to define some things that we struggle with, that we usually don't know a word for, I also equally dislike terminology because it typically just boxes a multi-layered thing into just one concept. It's like, well, no, there's so much that goes into it. It's not just perfectionism and it's terrible, throw it away, don't ever be that thing. No, there's beautiful parts of it. Like we talked about the pursuit and the part in which it starts becoming good versus toxic, and how you can start to actually almost question yourself and say, hey, does this even make sense? And that's what I love about it. Most perfectionists are typically logical people. And when you back logical people to the wall and say, hey, let's really think about this from a logical standpoint, they're like, oh, shoot, you're absolutely right. It doesn't make sense. So they're the easiest to convince when you approach them with a logical approach to saying, all right, let's really think about this from a logical way. And that's when it helps to unlock it. So that is very important. Now, I do want to go to something that you said, which is being almost unforgiving with yourself, because you can say, all right, cool, I got my definition. I understand the difference between healthy and toxic sides of perfectionism, but to simply just forgive yourself rather quickly so you can get back in the game, that's a big part of it too, right? It's, oh, I can stay on the healthy side of perfectionism if I make a mistake and I just shrug it off and I get back in the game. But if I make a mistake and I beat myself up for it and I want to almost punish myself for making the mistake because making the mistake wasn't accepted or whatever it is, you almost you almost bring about this personal suffering to make yourself pay for what you made rather than just saying, oh, okay, just go. And the easiest way to kind of summarize that is the way some people look at what is a loss and what is a lesson. And we've heard it, and it's like, oh no, some people really never see a loss as a loss. It's like, no, I literally cannot lose, because if I don't quit ever, how is that a loss? So how maybe you can add your take on it, Nick, because I do like your approach with that, which is I'm learning always, and I forgive myself quickly enough to get back in the game, and I'm not trying to almost cause this self-inflicted harm to pay for the mistake that I made. It's like, what sense does that make?
Yeah, so I look at it in two ways, right? One, it's funny. During COVID, we used to talk about or hinted at stocks all the time, right? And then we just stopped because I don't have attention span for it, right? I just don't have it. He gave it away, and I don't have the attention span, right? But there's a phrase that they always say is like, you don't ever lose money in the stock market until you take the money out, right? So I'm bringing that up because I think about it literally of, okay, I put money in, the money is still there. Something took a dip, but if I don't take the money out, I didn't lose the money, right? If I take it at that moment, if I quit at that moment, I lost all that, right? But there's a possibility it goes up. It goes back up. And if I stay invested in what I believe it was going to do, it could go back up. I don't lose anything. I'm just in the process of seeing the ups and downs of something that I've invested in. So I take that same lesson when it comes to building a brand, where I'm invested in the brand that I build, right? And it's going to take some dips. And we've seen multiple brands, multiple businesses. The second that it takes a dips, it takes a loss in their eyes, right? They quit. They take out, this is not going to work. But there are brands and businesses that have been in the game 10, 12, 15, 20 years, and you're just starting to hear about them because they invested time, money, resources into that. And they said, as I'm still riding this wave, there's going to be some dips in this, but I'm too invested. I'm too into the game to this for me to just take out all that time, all that money, and get back either little to nothing from it. So this is why I always say it's like, it's not necessarily a loss because I didn't lose, because I didn't stop. I didn't quit. I didn't put down, I didn't cancel my GoDaddy a renewal situation for my website. You know what I mean? I didn't not put out that logo. I did not put out that content piece. It's there, right? It's out in the public. It's when we completely wipe it out where it's like, oh, I took that L. I definitely took that L. There's some things that me and Moose have done between projects that is like, oh, that's a big dip. That's bad. That's not working no more. Doesn't mean the whole thing is not working. No, that particular part, that particular branch, that particular piece isn't working. We know that. We replace the piece. We try something new. We invest time in the brand, and not everything part of the brand is going to work. It's not. Nothing always, like, there is not a human being, a thing that's breathing, that doesn't go through some downs, go through some failures, go through some losses in some way, shape, or form. There's going to be that. You cannot not start because you want it to be perfect. You cannot not continue because everything from content to products to services to just mental, it doesn't matter. Everything takes a dip. Everything. But if you don't take out your investment in your brand, in your business, you're still good. You're still in the winnings. You still are, like, it's not the same. It doesn't feel the same either. But when it's up, you're not complaining. You're not like, oh, I need to get out now. Forget it. Let me go. No, you're probably like, oh, this is working. I'm gonna do this. This is great. So in my field, when we're talking about perfection and content and building a brand, for me, I'm like, we forget anyways. You're the only one tripping about if it's perfect. We forgot about it. We forgot about the product you just launched. Though you spent months and months trying to launch that thing. I already forgot because you only brought it up once. I forgot. Okay, the piece of content you dropped. You saw that it was doing bad. I don't go and check your analytics. I don't go back and be like, oh, only 2 likes. Oh, no comments. Oh no, that didn't work. I didn't do. I cannot follow you because your content does not perform in the way that I believe your content should. No one's talking about that. No one says that. No one does that. So it's not a loss until you stop or you take out your time and investment from it. That's it.
Hey, whatever platform you just listened to this on, please go back and rewind it at least twice. And let me tell you why. This is such a big part of entrepreneurship. This is such a big part of building personal brands. And if you can lock this part in here and really take ownership around, am I the type to just simply give up and quit, walk away when things are not going my way? Or am I the type to still stay in the game, use whatever has happened as market research and use that as fuel to keep going? Because once you figure out what side of the spectrum you're on, you're going to know what adjustments you need to make, or you're going to find out that you're on the right path and you simply just need to keep going. And sometimes we need to accept that as the right answer. Hey, what am I doing wrong? Nothing. Just keep going. And sometimes that needs to be sufficient enough for you to be satisfied and say, really? I'm doing good? I can be doing good and not be satisfied? Yes, you can. You have ridiculously high standards. You're trying to achieve in 10 years what some people do, or you're trying to achieve in 1 year what some people take 10 years to do. So you're not doing wrong. You're just not doing it for long enough, right? So I think that part is so critical to go back to and listen. And I literally just thought about this today because a different business that I'm a part of, we have been trying to figure out a particular role within the organization and how to make it work. And for the first time ever in one of our meetings on Sunday, I said, hey, maybe this role is just not a good fit for the business. Maybe it should not exist as a whole. And I'm not being negative when I present that alternative. I'm not being a negative Nancy and saying, oh my God, we're terrible, we're not going to make it work. What I am doing is I'm at a point where I'm saying, let's exhaust every possible alternative, because I want to at least push ourselves to really fight for the best answer. When you accept mediocre answers as a possible alternative, you stop. You say, okay, this is good enough. But when you exhaust your options and say, well, what if this and what if that and what happens here, you push yourself a little bit harder to find the best alternative solution. Now, here's what happened. Literally 48 hours later, we had the meeting Sunday. Today's Tuesday. Number one, the role that we're talking about, the person who we had in that place, they submitted their resignation, right? It's like, hey, what you offered me, I know why you're doing it. I actually respect you guys for having this conversation with me, but I'm just not willing to make that adjustment. So they completely exited the mission, right? They said, thank you, but I'm out of here, right? Number two, I noticed my response in that time. I said, wow, I'm actually relieved because I'm not compromising the success of the business to satisfy someone who doesn't belong in a position. And I have finally figured out what is the best way to make this role work. Because the last two times we've tried it, it hasn't worked. And so really what I'm trying to say is I'm giving you a real life example around, hey, that exact piece that Nicky just spoke to right there around not cashing in your losses when you're down and simply reinvesting that back as market research, because that's what converts losses into lessons, and buy yourself some more time to actually turn it around into a win. That is probably one of the most critical mindset hacks, strategies, call it whatever you want. But it is so important when it comes to this game of building your personal brand or building a business or just simply getting more people to know about you. That's the biggest part of it.
Facts.
Hey, shout out to Tamisha in the chats. I see her. She said, this is my first time here, checking the live show out. I'm sure I'm in for a treat. Hey, it's good to see you. Make sure you come back a couple more times and share this with about another 56 people, because I'm trying to get to 86.
Wait, first of all, you're not going to speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
I'm just trying to hit my goal. You know, we're talking about losses and lessons, so I might as well just keep this lesson rolling for a little bit longer and try to reach my ideal goal. So yeah, keep it rolling, y'all. Keep it rolling.
Where are we going with this?
Let me ask you this: what has been your biggest kind of, I'm going to say, what has been your biggest lesson around dealing with perfection on a day-to-day basis? Have you ever caught yourself in the act when maybe not at the time that something was happening, but after it took place and you said, wow, I probably went a little bit too much on the toxic side for that one? You know, like, okay, even if there is a healthy side to it, maybe I spent a little bit too much time dwelling on this, and I navigated, or I spent time in the toxic side of perfection. I'm saying, like, have you ever caught yourself in one of those moments where you overthought, or you were overthinking a particular situation for a little bit too much and didn't realize it until after it happened? Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, I mean, overthinking happens all the time. That's a given thing, you know. It is. I've heard it's the Leo in me. Leos overthink supposedly. So, and I just posted this on Thread, right? Actually, let me pull it up real quick, because it's normal to overthink. So I said, overthinking, perfectionism, all that is a real thing, but it's normal. You're not doing anything wrong. It's just part of the process, right? Like, and when I am doing something new, whether it is a new day and I'm posting, whether it is a new idea, whatever, I mean, if I don't have facts that it's going to work off top, I'm going to be like, when should I post this? What should I do? Should I put this out? Should I, like, we're thinking of this, shout out to Deeper Than the Brand. We're thinking about this whole rollout for Content Corner, right? And just creating this Deeper Than the Brand content city, right? Does that make sense? Is that going to work out? When do we start? Like, I hit up Kurt, like, yo, when are we having this meeting? Let's talk this out. Let's break out all the details. Let's see what it is, and let's start coming up with an action plan instead of just dwelling on the idea. Because as a visionary, I could dwell on the idea, right? That's kind of my overthinking, where I may stay in a part to see in my mind the full picture of this idea. And sometimes I have to think about that I was given the idea not necessarily to see the full picture, but to make that part work at that moment. And then as I continue to make that part work, then I will get the full picture in time. And some of us stay in that place of give me the full picture, and we're never going to, because we had to pass go. We had to, if we're watching a course, we have to watch that first lesson to unlock the next one. We have to beat that board to unlock the next level. So yeah, I get caught up all the time, but I have to remember that things are given to me for a reason. And though I may not understand it, and though it may not be in my standards, or it may not be what I envision in it, it was given to me for a reason, and I have to execute on it to see where I pivot to next. Whether I pivot to the left, whether I pivot to the right, or I continue to go straight with what is happening, I have to do it first for me to understand it. Hence why I'm so bullish with this threads thing, where I'm not going to know what works. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do until I do it, and until I get a rhythm, and until I get a cadence. Do I believe everything works? No. Do I believe everybody cares what I have to type or anything? No. But I do believe that as I'm continuing to go on, I'm going to understand it more. I'm going to see what my standard, what my perfect strategy is for my brand, to be able to deliver the mission. The mission is still going to be the same thing, regardless of what platform, product, service that I create. So as long as I have that aligned with everything, I should be good.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that, because I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek into my next thread right here that I'll be sharing shortly. But you know what's another one of those criterias that is the difference between toxic perfectionism and the side of it that's healthy? It's judgment, and more specifically, the fear of being judged by other people, right? Because as I'm listening to you talk, it really has become super clear to me that early adopters, people who jump in first, people who don't mind going through a situation or a platform or a process without knowing the rules ahead of time, one of the main differences between them and the people who wait on the sideline, who want to feel the room out, who want to see what is right and what is wrong, what is accepted and what is not, it's simply that. It's the fear of judgment, right? Your kind says, I don't know, but you don't know, and nobody knows. So let's all figure it out together. And it's going to be okay. If I mess up in the process, no worries, let's adjust and get better. There's another kind, which I'll be a part of that group, quite frankly, at least in this example, which says, let me feel out the water. Like, let me just kind of test the temperature of the water first and see if this is actually accepted. Let me know what the ground rules are. And what we're looking for is some form or some level of best practices to guide our approach. But the question always becomes, what happens in a situation like this here, where there are no best practices yet? You actually have the opportunity to get involved, get in the game, and help design the best practices of the platform. Right? How do you know that one of the threads, for those of you who are dwelling on perfectionism and overthinking and all these other things around your content or some part of your brand or business, how do you know that something that you create will not set forth the best practice of how a thing should be in your market, in your industry, or more specifically on this threads platform? Right? I think if we can always push ourselves to look at it from the side that we're not seeing, because by the way, in every situation, there's a yin and a yang, a good and a bad. There's a side that we see and we dwell on and we magnify to make it bigger than what it is. And there's a side that we completely overlook and have no clue the benefits that it brings, right? The equal benefits that it brings. And so if we can push ourselves to say, hold on a second, what's the side that I'm not seeing to this? By the way, that's how I landed on this healthy side of perfectionism. Like, wait, what? Yeah, I wanted to present something new, something that most people don't typically talk on, because I'm a practitioner with this thing. Like, I actually have to navigate it on a daily basis. And so I'm looking at it and saying, hey, you know what? Clubhouse took you maybe a month to get on. Threads, it took you a day and maybe another 4 to participate. That's progress.
That is.
You know, it's like, yo, that's it. And so again, it goes back to your perspective and the relationship of how you even deal with yourself. Are you going to constantly keep beating yourself up for the mistakes that you've made, or for you not wanting to be where you want to be just yet? Or are you going to say, hey, let me be a little bit more understanding and delicate with myself, because the goal is not to make myself feel stupid for not being where I want to be yet. That's not the goal. That's not what we're trying to achieve here. The goal is to find every single way that you can encourage yourself to get you to believe more in you, so that you can do the thing that you eventually want to do or accomplish or be where you want to be. And so it would make more sense for me to say, no, focus on the positives of this scenario. Focus on the positives of what's happening here, because you did post your thread. You did get on the platform earlier. You didn't need any convincing, right? There's so much positive that come from that. Now, by the way, this example is hyper-focused to threads because that's just what is relevant right now. But regardless of when you're listening to this, I want you to just really think about this from the standpoint of, how does this apply to you, your brand, and your business, or maybe even your personal life right now? Because there's a side of it that you probably fall on that is not allowing you to see what I'm calling the positive side of perfectionist, because you're overly focused on the bad.
And let's just do some fact check real quick. His second thread is 7 comments and 36 likes. His first one was just 6 likes, okay? So as you continue, you're going to see, oh, it's okay. It's going up. It's going to go down. I don't want you to necessarily doubt yourself, even though that's normal. You're going to, did I put, we are creatures of negativity.
Yeah.
Instantly, right? Is it me? Is it me? No, it's not. We're still trying to figure. No one, and even with branding, and Moose could tell you with business, we're still trying to figure everything out. Mm-hmm. There's things that has worked for other people, absolutely, but there's not a one thing fits all for anybody. In any market, in any niche, there's not that. So, like, I was talking to E, a little while ago. Shout out to ET, because he gave me a video and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it after the live. And he's like, I thought you already recorded the podcast. And I was like, we've been doing a live for like over 2 years now. On Tuesday, 8 p.m. to kind of bring brand awareness to the channel, as well as, the podcast. The podcast process is very, it's a long journey. It's a long journey, mm-hmm. right? So spoke about, okay, we're at, 10K downloads a month. Slowly but surely, people are understanding about the channel, about the podcast. It's happening slow. It's a process. He's like, life is a process. I was like, thank you. Captain Obvious, appreciate you. But he's like, but doors are opening because you are in this process, right? So we could have stopped before the podcast even started, right? Like we could have stayed with the Facebook Live, saw, okay, these numbers were cute. You know, we could go based on the lives. Okay, these numbers are cute. All right, cool. Or we can go, yo, these are 20 something, 30 something, 40 something, 50 some people across the world that we don't know that stopped everything that they did to watch us. That's good, right? There are people, if we're talking about social media, there are people you don't know that just liked your stuff, that just saw your stuff, that may have commented on your stuff, that you have no clue who they are. You don't know them. That's good. That's not an L because you didn't get hundreds. You got strangers, and you won't even let strangers in your house, but you are waiting for strangers to validate you in what you're doing.
Oh, shoot.
I'll leave it
Oh,
there.
shoot.
I'll leave it there.
Oh, shoot. Oh, shoot. Man, that's... If I had the air horns right now, I would give you a double air horns on that. Wow. Yo, that's tough. That's tough. Wow. Yeah. Once again, play that back. We need a soundboard that said play that back. Some to that effect. Like you need to hear that again. Yeah, that's tough. No, that's tough. I can't even add anything to that.
I can't.
I can't even try. What I will say is, for those of you who are still rocking with us, man, live, thank you so much. Of course, safe place in the comments. If you have any questions, please do start dropping those questions. Maybe we'll circle back in the last couple minutes, or if you drop the questions, we'll definitely leave a couple minutes to answer them. So if you are, I don't know, struggling with perfectionism, if you are trying to find a better way to navigate the healthy side of perfectionism, I hope I've added some new perspective to this idea around, oh, shoot, I can do good with perfectionism. It's not all bad. There's some good to it as well. You know, so if you're wondering how to make that a reality or how to actually deploy that, you know, do ask some questions around that. But yeah, after what Nicky just said, I don't even know that I ain't got nothing for you on that. That's tough, man. You're letting strangers determine whether what you're doing is good or bad. Yeah, that's wow.
It's a fact. It's a fact. I'm just saying. I just live.
That's the first time I heard you say that, though. I don't know. Yeah,
it was the first time I ever said it.
Heard you.
First time I ever said it. Look at God.
Like, oh, me too. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, no. That's not repurposed at all. That is not repurposed. Never said nothing like that. It's all good. But I just felt like that needed to be said because I see too many people, even really good, like top influencers and like doubt themselves because they didn't make a certain amount of views, a certain amount of comments, a certain amount of impressions. And it's like, yo, like your track record is straight. You have a core audience. You are leaving your emotions and your confidence, you're giving that power to strangers. Why? You don't even listen to your family. Like,
yeah,
that's weird. So, yeah, that's it. That's it, people. That's it, people. Listen, do me a favor. Put that on Threads. Put that bar I said on Threads right now. Tag the podcast. Tag us. And I'll definitely react to that one. I'll definitely react to it because I don't remember. I already don't remember what I said. Already. So somebody write that down and then Put it on Threads, and we'll do that. Shout out to Kurt, who runs the Nicky and Moose podcast Threads. He is killing that. Shout out to him. Shout out to Isaiah, who's about to make sure. Here's the thing, and this is a little trick. When something new drops, try to create content around it. Okay, though this live and nothing to do really with Threads, we just kept referring to it. Parts of the podcast did, and we're like in strong pursuit of putting that out even before the full podcast drops. Why? Because we know people are searching for this topic, searching high and low for more information because it's brand new. So anything in your niche, I'm not talking about, talk about Threads. Anything in your niche that launches, that drops, that's brand new, that's an update, of any way, shape, or form, try to create content around it because people are searching to learn more information about it. And you can pop up first and foremost and take advantage of that trend, that topic. So, yeah, go do that. I mean, anyways, people, we are out. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you for everything that you guys have done, whether it is listen to the podcast, share the podcast, watch the podcast, watch the live because you're here. We appreciate you. We love you. The after show drops tomorrow. Creator Av drops Friday, 6 a.m. We active, of course, on social media, YouTube, Threads, Facebook, all of them, okay? So we out. Moose, thank you for this amazing conversation.
Indeed. No, thank you for sharing. And yeah, this was fire.
I feel like the hat company needs to pay you already because those hats are fire.
Yo, so let me tell you, funny story about this hat company though. So this is crazy how this happened, but you're probably like the third or fourth person to ask me about this. So I'm gonna just share it real quick and use the last 3 minutes of our hour. But he went to an event, he got gifted these hats, and he left them in the rental car. I was gonna throw them away. I was like, I kind of like these. I'm gonna take them. So I've had them in 3 different colors. I don't know the exact brand, but I probably at this point need to reach out and be like, yo, you just might want to sponsor the podcast because I'm just wearing these things left to right. But yeah, I thought I should say that on here at least one time. But thank you for taking notice. I do like the hat. Appreciate it.
Yeah, the hat's fire. It's like I want to follow y'all on Threads. Drop your information. Y'all are so dope. Come on. Look, mine's is at This Is Nicky S. Moose, what is yours?
My name, Mustafa _Ghonem. That's my Threads account there. Yeah.
And then, of course, the podcast is at Nicky and Moose. Go follow us on Threads. We're out. We love you guys. You already know what we're going to say.
Peace, y'all.